Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Shoot the Shit Saturday. I, of course, am Espionage DB7, better known as the one, the only rocket blasting lung. You get the idea. Anyway, I wanted to start off today's episode with a bit of an announcement. I will actually be taking a bit of a more background role, at least for a little while, for about a month or two, in the upcoming weeks for the channel. I've had some personal complications that have come up. Nothing too serious, nothing too bad, but I just need some time to sort things out. So I'll still be streaming, still be gaming, but I may not be personally involved in a lot of things. You may not see or hear me in some of the shoot the shits or some of the streams or whatnot, but I'm leaving the channel in great hands. Obviously, Obsolete 2003 is still, going to be here. Cousin Obs, since he doesn't have a set moniker, he usually takes one, from the Simpsons that he likes to use. But Cousin Obs will be, essentially filling the gap, the void that I will leave in your hearts while I'm gone. Ringleader still be around. Val will hopefully still be around on the play in the PlayStation capacity and on the shoot the shit. So we'll still be here, and I personally will be around as well. I'm not saying goodbye by any stretch or by any means, but I'm just gonna be more as blend into the background a bit. That being said, what follows is, of course, our weekly shoot the shit segment. You will notice that there is a lack of editing on this particular episode. This again goes to the issues that I've been having. I didn't really have the time or the energy to do the editing that I usually do, so do please excuse that. But nonetheless, I do hope that you enjoy it. I will try to get back to things as soon as I possibly can. I just kind of feel like I need some time to straighten things out. So thank you guys for bearing with me. Thank you to all our subscribers who do like, do follow, and do share our content and all that. And this is no exception. If you continue to like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. But with all that being said, I'll see you guys around. Um, Comment on anything that you want, any questions you have or whatnot. But without further ado, let's get right down to our shoot the shit Saturday. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our newest episode of Shoot the Shit Saturday. It is I, Obsolete 2003. I am here with Ringleader
Hey,
and Espionage DB7.
Greetings and salutations.
How's everyone doing?
I am
it's
good.
it's a lovely warm August so far. So
Yes,
Yeah.
it had been, at least I think, refreshingly cool up until this point, but this week has certainly warmed up in sunny Texas. So it has it. I feel like it's been unseasonably fresh. I'm not gonna say cool, but fresh. The temperature I think has been really nice out, but it's really starting to warm up. So, is it officially summer? It is officially summer already, right? Yeah, of course. Duh.
it's something.
Yeah,
Yes.
shut up. I'm aware. I know. I'm aware of the passing of the seasons and time. I was testing you guys.
Are you sure about that?
I am. I wanted to see if you guys knew that we were already summer and been in summer since.
Now you're just babbling.
Hello.
Hi.
So, what's on the turntable today?
Well, there's not a whole lot going on this week in terms of entertainment. I'm gonna try. I'm kind of excited a little bit for the new Star Wars film, but I'm still leery after the poison pill that was the Last Jedi.
I when is it expected to be like released?
December.
This coming December?
They
Yeah.
release a Star Wars film every Christmas.
Really?
Yes.
What's it called? What's this one called? I honestly, like I said, after The Force Awakens, I didn't watch um the Last
Good,
Jedi.
good,
I didn't watch Rogue One.
good thing you did not. It was just an absolute shit show.
But what
Yeah,
is
it
the
was
new one
pretty
called?
bad.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Is this like the last one in the new trilogy, or are they planning to make
Yeah,
more after this?
new trilogy, last one.
Did they ever bring Lando back?
He is gonna be in the new one.
Is he?
Yes.
Well, that's cool. I like Lando.
In the trailer, it showed the remains of the Death Star on some ocean world, or like a world that has heavy ocean air presence. So let's see how that turns out.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it
Well,
should be
I would
here's
I,
interesting.
I would love to have another Road One, like just not no Jedi bullshit, just a good old fashioned Star Wars film featuring the war at large. You know?
well, there's a topic. Ring, you're probably, aside from another person I know who's not here with us today, and I don't mean that he's dead. I just mean he's not here. Um, you're probably the biggest Star Wars fan I know. Why don't you give us a little bit of a breakdown as to your opinion why you think freaking the last Jedi was such trash, as I've heard.
Are you sure?
Just don't be too long-winded about it, huh?
I'll try.
Okay.
So the last Jedi builds upon the previous film, which was The Force Awakens. Force Awakens was salvageable. It's watchable. It's not the best. The Last Jedi suffers from several major issues. One, Luke Skywalker himself. The character is depicted as being very contrary to his previous versions, previous iteration in the original trilogy. The scene where the bridge is taken out on the cruiser where Leia was, that was some force sputtery. Though it has existed in the books, it was just ridiculously edited. The stupid as fuck side trip where they go to the casino planet
Yeah,
and all of a sudden like this and that, this and that,
not
and then the end with Rose with a kiss where I love you, even though she probably kind of screwed over the Resistance. The whole plot involving the hyperdrive and
the longest chase scene ever.
yeah, pretty much. And it
I heard
was
that Luke was pretty much made into a wimp, for lack of a, you know,
yes, and Mark Hamill was not happy about that
why did they do that? I mean, people have waited years to
because
see.
because Ryan Johnson is a piece of shit and does not respect the material. Ryan Johnson was the guy who directed it. He was a no-name director, if I remember correctly, and was just like why, just straight up why. And the movie in its entirety was executed poorly. It was easily the worst Star Wars film,
It
and
was
that's
yeah.
talk
I've heard
about
that
someone.
it's definitively the worst Star Wars
Yes,
film, and
I,
and this is including that Star Wars Christmas Ewok Endor special.
yeah, it was just absolute shit.
It was a very bad movie. I saw it in theaters, and it's after watching it, it's like, what the hell did I just watch?
Well,
Like,
I was actually kind of wanting to watch it, to be honest. The Force Awakens already kind of made me. I was like, I liked it, but I'm like kind of like I didn't like the direction that it seemed like they were going. First of all, it seemed like it was almost a complete repeat of A New Hope. You know,
it was.
yeah.
It was, but it's fine because you need to bridge the old with the new.
Well, I get that, but I kind of was like already, it kind of drew me into skepticism on the new ones. And then when the Last Jedi came out, I was like, I kind of want to see it. But then early on, I started hearing reviews and seeing people saying what garbage it was, and that kind of pushed me to,
And
I
here's the trip. It was a total departure from Road One and Solo. Solo was a decent movie. Decent
Yeah,
movie. If you ignore all the, see, the problem with Solo was it came after the Last Jedi,
exactly.
which it got everybody got the sour pill. Nobody had any faith in Solo, but it was not a bad movie. Road One was easily either second or first best, depending on who you're talking to, Star Wars film because there's no Jedi shit. It's all straight up,
Star
classic
Wars.
rebellion versus Empire. Um, and using the characters from the New Hope was a good tie-in. It also explains why they needed someone to fill in for Red Five.
I did see the most talked about scene in that movie, which is the freaking Darth Vader scene, which that is straight up. That is like probably one of the few scenes where you see Vader just go on like unleashed straight up beast mode. I don't think you ever really see that too much. It's implied that he's like that badass, but
Mm.
you never really see it. And in this one, he straight up goes beast mode, and I thought that was like very very cool.
I enjoyed Road One because it had the most phenomenal space battle in all the films. Um, you have elements from Star Wars Rebels, which is the television series, right? And then you have elements that appear from A New Hope in terms of Red and Gold Squadron. It also explains, how the plans came to be. Now the thing was that those characters were not meant to survive. It was a suicide mission
Right?
essentially.
Yeah. It's always implied that they did it for
But
the greater good.
you still got connected to it. You still felt something for it. And last I heard, the guy, I think his name is Jado, the one who plays the captain. He's in his own show. So we're gonna see more prequel action soon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because from what I've seen and what I've heard, that basically Star Wars, the whole franchise is basically trying to not necessarily clean slate, but they're trying to out with the old, in with the new, basically.
The problem was, of course, Ryan Johnson.
Well, I get that, but you still don't spit on the old stuff. It's the same thing that Clash of the Titans did. I remember I love the original Clash of the Titans movie, and I remember in one of the freaking previews or trailers, they show the little golden owl, the mechanical owl, and they're like, "What is
Mm.
this thing?" And it's like it's just a piece of junk. Get rid of it or whatever. And it's like they're basically spitting on the legacy that was created by the predecessor. And you don't do that. You can do a clean slate. You can do something new, but you don't trash your legacy. You build upon it, or at least distance yourself from it, but don't spit on it. Don't
Which the Last Jedi did in
e-
every respect.
exactly. That's what I mean. So it's like, yeah, that's like the one thing not to do, because more than more than anything, if people are coming to watch your movie, it's because either A, they're original fans of the original franchise that grew up with this franchise, or B, they have kids that they want to introduce to this franchise that they themselves grew up with. Everybody, and pretty much anybody, has some sort of connection to Star Wars. So I mean,
My
it's
my son loved Road One. It was a phenomenal film. He sat through the entire thing, and he was only like 4 at the time, which was a miracle. The Last Jedi wasn't gonna happen. It was just too complicated. But I will say this about the Last Jedi: there is one scene which was I thought a little bit redeeming, and that's the fight in what's his face's throne room, where
um
Ray and what's his face
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren take on all the elite guard, and it's just one big awesome fight. I think that's like the only redeeming thing about the entire film.
I hate Kylo Ren, and not in the way that um a villain movie villain should be hated. I hate the character for being a whiny, grumpy bitch. He shows some cool traits, like putting like holding that blaster in midair was one of the cooler things I've seen, as far as a
Mm,
force power. But he essentially just throws temper tantrums when he doesn't get his way. And fucking
yeah, you're right. It's
and
kind of a weak point.
I'd like to take a quick moment here to welcome a pop-in who I see, and I don't think he's taken on a Simpsons moniker as of yet, but welcome, cousin
Lionel
Ops.
Hutz, attorney at law.
Anyways,
So
uh,
welcome, Lionel Hutz, and I will let you know that Texas is a one-party consent state, so we have full legal justification to record this conversation.
a little off topic here, but just to throw a little fun fact for the week. Did you know that in 1914, in World War One, France launched its first attack of the war, which would be unfortunately result in an unsuccessful attempt to recover the province of Alsace from Germany. I learned that today. Yay.
I did not know that.
Also, a little more scientific related, in 1944, IBM presented the first controlled calculator to Harvard University, which afterwards became the Mark I, which was fucking huge for our computer.
This has
But then
been
it became
the
like,
this has been the odds and ends gaming fact of the week.
yeah.
All right.
Well, I learned that the sideburn is based off of Confederate soldier
Oh
General
no.
Ambrose Burnside. I did learn this. And he
Interesting.
was also the very first president of the National Rifle Association, and he was a Confederate general, and he had huge, fucking bushy
Mutton chops.
mutton chops, and they eventually turned that into the name for sideburns. So that's what I learned. Who else got a
Indeed.
random fact?
Are we just spewing out Snapple facts at this
Yeah,
point?
yeah. What's
Yeah.
yours?
Oh.
What's your random
I
fact?
got nothing right now.
Well,
Moss.
how about
Frozen
this?
moss.
In 1909,
Okay.
59 days after leaving
Oh
New York
god.
City with 3 passengers, one Miss Allie Heeler Ramsey arrived in San Francisco to become the first woman to drive an automobile across the contiguous United States. So congratulations, sir. In
Yeah.
1909.
I see. Okay. I have no other facts that I can read.
Okay.
So moving on, I want to bring something up,
Okay.
and it's actually something that Mike, our channel mascot, as I've called him in the past, and he brought up during one of our playthroughs of Castle Crashers, which is a very fun game that we've been putting on the channel. But he brought up that apparently there was a sequel coming out to Robocop, to the Robocop remake, the one in 2014, and I thought this was absolutely disgusting. I absolutely hated the remake of RoboCop. I felt much like for Ring for You for Star Wars. I felt like the remake of RoboCop completely spat on everything great about the original. Well, I did a bit of research, and it turns out that Mike was mistaken. It is not a sequel to the 2014 RoboCop. No, quite on the
Oh.
contrary. It is a continuation of the original series. Ed Neumeyer, the original writer of RoboCop, is coming back to write a new RoboCop film called RoboCop Returns. And they have been reaching out to Peter Weller to try to get him on board for it. So it is a complete continuation of the original trilogy, completely ignoring all of the events of the 2014 RoboCop, and I could
Interesting.
not be happier about that.
Is
So
it a new Terminator coming out?
I don't know much of the Sarah Connor one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know much about that. What was it? Terminator Genesis was kind of weird. So
I liked it.
It had that one bit with Alice in Chains playing in the background. I like that.
Yeah.
it was all right. It was just it got a little Doctor Who for me. It was like very time travel esque, but like very.
Well, that's the whole point of Terminator. It's time travel.
No, it's not actually. The whole point,
Yeah.
yes, they send a Terminator back in time, but time travel is not the central pivotal point of the plot. It just is. It's a mechanic in. It's a plot device that gets the plot going, but it doesn't focus on uh, time travel. Now, if you say time travel is the whole point of Back to the Future, you'd be right. Time travel is not the whole point of
I mean, Back
Terminator.
to the Past.
Back to the Future, and I've kind of
You
felt
gotta
like,
go to the past first, get Back to the Future.
okay, Samurai Jack. I mean, anyway, um, I am very happy to see what was her name, Linda Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
Coming back, and I do want to see it. I'm not like super hyped about it, but yeah, I would like to see it, especially considering
Are you
that
excited about John Connor as well?
that's another thing that I hated that they did with John Connor. The whole series, he's painted as like this savior of mankind, and they turn him evil. And I can see why they did it, kind of like, it's like because they essentially have given
Subvert expectations.
that, plus they've kind of given John Connor a whole like Jesus complex type thing, like he's the savior, the Messiah. So it's kind of like Satan has corrupted, you know, the savior or whatever. So it's like this huge, surprise. Like, oh my God, we're all doomed. So I can see why they did it, but at the same time, I feel like all four movies prior to it, we were fed. John Connor is the MacGuffin of these movies, and now suddenly he's the bad guy. It's like, well, what now? So um, I thought that was a little weird. There's a few reasons that I kind of was about Genesis, but I'm not gonna say it was terrible, and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna that I'm gonna shit all over it or anything. But I it's definitely not my favorite in the franchise.
Settle
Now,
down.
however, I do hold Terminator 2 in very high esteem. I consider it one of the quintessential action movies, one of the quintessential action movies of all time. It's just
I think everyone does.
I consider Terminator 2 a perfect movie. Quite simply, a perfect movie. I don't think there's any fault or flaw with that movie. Now, is it my
Yeah.
all-time favorite movie? No, but I think it's beautiful. It's art. So, Lionel Hutz, what cases are you working on?
Yes. Well, there's a big data breach recently.
Was
Really?
I don't
that
have the case,
or
but
something like that?
Did you cause this data breach?
oh no. They're klutz than me. The
Are
E3 data breach.
Yeah, I heard about that. Basically, like everybody who went through E3, um, got
Kept
their
doxxed.
yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
It was through some
That
through.
could be you one day. That could be this channel.
Having our data breached, going to an E3.
Yeah, go E3 and then get data breach.
It'll be like, gentlemen, we've arrived. Fuck, we're
Yes.
screwed.
Okay.
But yes, I did hear about that. I've been hearing there was one with Capital One not that long ago either. There's all these fucking data breaches.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm kind of like, meh. I've got nothing to breach. I'm poor.
Well, the thing
Oh,
about the breaches is, in the case of Equifax or whoever the fuck it was that it doesn't matter that you have nothing to breach. Your name can be used for a bunch of things, and these are
Who's social?
credit
Yeah,
agencies that
hmm
are
Those are
supposed to
even
hold
bigger.
your. Yeah,
I know.
I
I'm just
I
kidding.
I was on that list
Oh,
of violated account.
fucking Xlax. I mean Equifax.
X-Lax.
Whatever the
Yeah,
fuck.
so apparently if the case wins, I get $150. So
Nice.
150. That's it.
Yeah.
it's a mass lawsuit, whatever.
Yeah, it's
It's
being
not
split up
breaking.
You,
among all the many people
yeah,
that
you
got.
don't
Well,
get a lot from class actions.
well, it sounds like you don't have the right representation. Take my friend Lionel Hutz here.
I have not the right
He
representation.
he will win your case or your pizza's free.
The pizza's already been eaten.
That's okay. The box is empty.
Anyway,
Anyways,
Uh,
so S,
yes.
you mentioned in a conversation before the recording that you saw something regarding Monster Hunter.
I don't know what you're talking. Oh, yes. I had seen a while back some leaked footage of the Monster Hunter movie with Mila Yakovich or what's her name?
Jovovich.
Jovovich, whatever, however you pronounce that name. Basically, the first images that I saw, and I'll post what I can, obviously for copyright reasons. But the first images that I saw left me kind of like, I hope this is gonna be good. I don't know how good it'll be. However, I had seen some leaked footage on a video, and I'll show it to you guys. I don't know if I'll be able to post the actual video on here, but I had seen some leaked footage of like a Diablos breaching the sand in the movie, and it looked pretty good, pretty compelling. And I was like, man, I want to see this. I really can't wait for it. We've been playing, for anyone who hasn't noticed, a lot more Monster Hunter on the channel, and it's a great game. We've already reviewed it. It was our very first in-depth channel review, and I can't wait for Iceborne, and I can't wait for this movie. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So I'll put some pictures or something for you guys to see here. But like I said, not sure if I can actually link the video since it was a leaked video, and I don't want to get in trouble. But
Don't
I
do
don't
that then.
I don't know
yeah,
why I don't know why I'm worried though. I got the legal representation of Lionel Hutz here. He'll get me
Just
out of
use a
that.
still. Use a still reversed and highly cropped.
Perfect legal advice.
Yes. Actually, what you do is you use multiple copyright things. That way they fight each other,
Hey,
and no
Mister
one gets the money.
Mister Hutz, are you still using that mobile office slash home?
My office is anywhere and everywhere it needs to be. So yes, but I wouldn't call it a mobile home.
No, that is what I call proficiency.
Indeed. So did you guys talk about those microtransactions being retroactively put in Crash?
Not yet.
Okay.
We've been talking about movies for the
Star
most part. I
Wars.
haven't quite really
Okay.
gotten to game talk just
Did you
yet.
hear
Yeah.
about that,
Oh,
Ray?
okay. Sorry.
What?
Basically, like for Crash.
Vinyl Hutz brought it up.
Okay,
Let
okay,
him have the
okay.
floor.
All right, all right.
Oh, all right. Crash Team Racing just came out not too long ago, and they came out really good reviews, really well made, a lot of positive press. And now Activision's putting microtransactions in there after all the reviews have been made and boxes have been made, saying that there's no microtransactions in there.
Those assholes.
Yeah,
That's all I got. Those assholes.
yeah,
Not
yeah. I
only
mean,
that,
honestly,
but
it boils down to that, but it's horrible.
you did mention, and you did mention. I'm not gonna take credit for this. You had mentioned to me before that they also did that to kind of get around some ESRB ratings.
Yeah, specifically on the ESRB box, it would have to say microtransactions are in this game, and without since they retroactively put it in there, it's already printed out without that. So basically all the good vibes get pressed, and now they can go in and milk it. And apparently they've done it before with other games. So I'm not exactly sure which ones, but
Well,
Either way, though, Activision's answered. That's it.
yeah,
well,
but it's just gross.
that's almost like a digital version of exactly what Bethesda did with their fucking nylon bags because they gave influencers and high like reviewers and stuff, they gave them the actual burlap sack bag, like they gave them the actual canvas bag for them. And then when they reviewed it, they're like, "Oh, it's a beautiful bag. It's great quality. It's great." Then they started shipping them, and it just turned out to be this cheap fucking nylon shit. That's exactly the same thing that they're doing. They're waiting to get the good publicity, the good reviews, all the good karma, essentially. And once they get that, now they're slapping this additional shit on it and shipping it out as this subpar slime ball product.
Yeah, bait and switch.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is bait and switch.
And while we're talking about Activision and microtransactions, my bit of game news is staying on track with that. Overwatch has currently hit over $1 billion in revenue with in-game spending.
Goddamn.
That's a
Yeah.
pretty big number. Not even just selling the game, $1 billion of in-game.
See, now with that, the fucking game should be free then, It's like, is the game free? It's not, right?
Yeah, that's mobile market all over that.
Just the loot boxes and all that stuff. So
Yeah, all that free to play stuff just in your $60 games now.
And you know what to me that kind of strips dignity away from a gamer because I mean, I've never played Overwatch. I'm gonna admit that right now. I've never played it, but to me, I look at if I get into a game like Monster Hunter and I see somebody with badass gear, badass weapon and armor and a badass like palico and stuff like that, or in World of Warcraft the way it used to be. You kind of see, man, they've put in a lot of work. You might think, oh, this person has no life, but at the same time, you realize, they put in a lot of work and effort and time into acquiring all this stuff, and you can't really say that anymore. The admiration is lost because of the fact that it might have been just something that they bought. It could have been a person who just started up the game, fucking dished out $300 for all the high end shit, and there's there is no indication that they really did put in the effort or time. And to me, that's a disservice to a gamer. I don't know. I hate microtransactions, or no, I should say recurrent user spending or surprise mechanics.
Surprise mechanics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surprise mechanics.
Well, several countries are now trying to label that as an actual gambling system.
It is a gambling
Since
system.
money, and you're right, money is spent.
Fucking Diamond Casino in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, pretty much. So that is very much a vile disease that is upon the gaming industry at the moment. But anyways,
It is. Well, we're approaching the half-hour mark here. I think we could start wrapping this up, but I do have
yeah,
a question of the week, real quick, and then if anybody else has something else to bring up, I'll open the floor to you guys. But you guys want to hear the question of the week?
yeah.
It
Yes.
comes to us again this week from Mr. Michael Coffey, our channel mascot, and the question of the week reads as follows. All of us are different gamers, and we like and love different things. We also get turned off by different games and tropes. With that in mind, what game surprised you the most that came out of nowhere to be beloved by you? And I have an answer for that, but essentially, what he's asking is like, what game did you expect to be trash, and you turned it on or played it or tried it out, and you're like, oh man, this is a pretty badass game. And I have my answer for that, but if somebody else wants to answer first, or if you want me to go first, what say you
You go
guys?
first.
Okay, my answer is Alan Wake. I actually have a kind of a funny story of how I ended up getting that game. Well, not how a funny story how I ended up getting it, but a funny story of how I ended up playing it. It was, um, I I got it as a gift, and I left it in my library. I wasn't even gonna play it, and I remember I decided it was around Halloween time some years back, and I decided I wanted to play Amnesia: The Dark Descent. So I went to install it, double clicked it on my Steam list, and it turned out that I misclicked and it clicked on Alan Wake, and I just kind of left it installing. I come back and I see your game has been installed. I click launch and I'm like, what the fuck? It starts loading up the thing for this Alan Wake game. I'm like, God damn it, I installed the wrong game. So I'm like, whatever. I installed it. What the hell is this? Start playing it. Game starts off with like kind of a dream sequence to give you the tutorial, and the mechanics of the game and the story, very Stephen Kingish, really caught my attention right off the bat. It really, really, um, you know, pulled me in pretty rapidly. Like it really like pulled me in right away, and I ended up loving it. And I honestly think it's a very, very well made game. It's very unique in its concept. It's very well written. The graphics are decent enough. I love the idea, the mechanics of fighting things with a flashlight. It's got a great soundtrack. I actually plan at some point to do a review of it, but that's my answer is Alan Wake. I ended up loving that game. I've gone back to it, and as a matter of fact, I've done a full playthrough on the channel of that game. So that's my answer. Who wants to go next?
I
Uh,
don't have a game myself. Everything for the most part has been up to my expectations. I ain't that much on this subject.
Okay.
uh, I would say, for me, not necessarily a game that I thought was like trash, but it was a game that I picked up and played one day, or basically it was a PC game, and it was Fallout 76. I'm just kidding. That game's trash.
Oh my God, I
Um,
was about to say, wait, no, I was about to say, I think you misunderstood the question.
no, that game is trash. Anyways, the game that I think that caught me by surprise is an old PC game called Total Annihilation,
I
and it's
remember
yes, so it was back in the
high school
back
days,
in the late, yeah,
early
late,
2000s, late 90s.
yeah, exactly, and one of my older brothers installed it, and I gave it a try, and it's basically the premise is it's real time strategy. It's one robot faction against a robot faction. Kind of think like Transformers on Cybertron type of thing. They don't transform or anything, but it's just again one robot faction raging war against the other. One planet,
I do remember
one
the big
faction,
ass Ed 209 type robots.
something like that. Yes, but then one side, the one faction basically kind of has like an Earth based background. The other one has like a Cybertron type background, and I've invested a lot of hours. I've played both sides. You can pick each or the arms or the core. I've played both of them, finished both of them, and I've revisited this game quite a few times after beating it. It's like just kind of a game I kind of go back to every now and then, and it's fun. And some of these levels took me a long time to finish just because it's just kind of whatever's going on. But it wasn't a trash game, but it was a game that completely took me by surprise and just sucked me in when I started playing it.
You didn't expect to like it, and you ended up loving it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I turn now to our legal counsel, Mr. Hutz. Any closing
Uh,
statements?
for me, now this game is toxic, but it is going to be League of Legends. Now, this is microtransaction super heavy, but it is free to play, which is how they got me. Actually, my friend got me into it because I was like, this looks like trash. I don't want to play this. But basically, it was more like a group thing because everyone started playing it with my friend's group. And I just got into it like probably back in 2012, like deep into it, like when I was in class, just had stupid daydreams about it. I was like, man, that was a real good game. I don't know why. It really got me. Like team fights, different champions.
I
I
will.
League
don't
of
know why.
Legends is
Oh
cancer.
I
yeah, it is. Oh
I've
yeah, it is.
heard I've heard
I
that the
know it
that
is.
the community is terrible. That it's
oh
like
yeah, they are.
is
They
it?
are horrible monsters. But if you have friends to play with, then any game's good as long as you have friends to play with.
I don't necessarily agree with that because me and Obs played League fucking Apex Legends and
Yeah,
we
but
played it
you
together
laugh.
and no matter what it was terrible. We were
Yeah.
terrible. I was terrible.
Listen, that's the one I got. Everything else I expected, and I got good stuff.
No,
So
I'm not. No, it's a good answer. I'm just
no, no,
saying.
no. I know. I'm just saying. I know League is cancer.
Well, I think I've said my piece for the week. You guys got anything else you want to bring up? I don't have a YouTuber to shout out this week. Um, but again, if you guys, nor do I have actually an indie game of the week, but that's just me. But if you guys got something or know something, I open the floor.
Nope.
Stay tuned.
Oh well, I mean, I have a small little game.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. It was developed by Free Lives, a little indie developer through Devolver Digital. It's called Genital Jousting, and
Okay,
it's
we're
available on
going
Steam.
to we're going to cut things off there, and yeah, no indie game of the week this week.
Yeah.
No.
Other
How
than
about
No,
that
how
game,
about
nope.
Broforce, developed by Free Lives?
everyone knows about Broforce. The Broforce got numbers. General Jousting needs that push.
We don't need. It doesn't
How
need a
about
push.
Bendy and the Ink Machine?
Oh, I saw Vel playing that a while back. It's like, isn't that similar to like it's done in the old style like of the classic cartoons as well, right?
There's not a lot of action. It's just a lot of story. It's a lot of exploration. Being developed by one guy, I think, if I remember correctly. It kind of has a cult following now, and I even has toys. My son was particularly fond of it. I think it's coming up on the conclusion, but each episode is
Also, it's an ongoing thing.
yes.
Cool.
Though it should have ended soon if not it hadn't already.
All right, so that will be the indie game of the week. I'm up for that. Anything
Uh,
except this other one.
okay. Well, anyways,
All right, so that's gonna do it. Bendy and the Ink Machine is this gets this week's endorsement as our Odds and Ends Gaming Indie Game of the Week. I've said my piece, gents. Anybody else have any last minute topics or anything else you guys want to bring up before we wrap it up for another week?
uh,
I think we're good here for this episode.
Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Hutz, thank you for joining us midway through. We always appreciate it. Always a pleasure to have you. And please let me know how my lawsuit is going because, I
You're
need that
going
money.
to jail for a long, long time.
I was the one suing. How the hell am I going to jail?
The judge was very persuasive. And frankly, you're a monster.
What? We'll get back on this, but at any rate, this has been another edition of Shoot the Shit Saturday, the installment where we talk about nothing, talk about everything, and that's gonna wrap things up. I've been joined by my soon-to-be fired attorney, Lionel Hutz. Also joining us
Thank you.
was Obsolete 2003
Yo.
and Mr. Ringleader.
yeah.
And as always, I have been the one, the only Espionage DB7. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
At any rate, have a great one, guys. See you next Saturday. Well, we'll see
Settle
you
down.
during the week with some other stuff, but we'll see you next Saturday for our next shoot the shit. Right?
Yes. Settle down.
You settle down. Have a good one.